All right, guys, today I have another subscriber with me. He is from Oklahoma. His name is Jaron. Jaron?
Yes, sir.
All right. He has actually had a Dogman encounter back in '99 and some sort of Sasquatch vocalization encounter, I think around 2016 or 17. But he's here to tell us his encounters. So without further ado, I'm going to give you Jaron. Jaron.
Yes. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing good.
All right. I hope everybody else is doing good tonight, too. Well, I'll just get right into it. So in 1999, me and two of my friends, we were on some acreage here in Oklahoma. It's family land. Pretty good drought back then. Still had a lot of green, but it was still pretty dry. And the creeks had dried up. And when the creeks dry up, you can get to parts of the land that you normally couldn't get to before. Because you can walk the creeks and get to the really thick stuff and just adventure areas that I don't normally get to go to because of the vines, or it's mostly the undergrowth. It just makes it really hard to get anywhere. So we walked down this creek, and we'd been out walking for quite a while. And this creek is, 3 foot wide, maybe 4 foot wide, and it's like sitting in a chair how deep it is. So I don't know, maybe 18 inches, 22 inches deep. And so there's my one buddy, he was sitting across from us, and me and my other buddy were sitting next to each other. And it's hot and we're tired, and we're all just sitting there. We have our heads down. We're not saying anything. We're not doing anything. We're just being real quiet. And probably was for about 8 to 10 minutes.
What were you guys doing out there first? Like, were you guys just hiking, or was there something that...
Yeah, well, we grabbed the rifles and just started messing around out there to see if we could find something to shoot.
Okay.
Just being country boys. So, I had an SKS, my buddy had an AR, and my other buddy had a Ruger 1022. The buddy that was sitting next to me, he had the AR-15. Or it could have, it is an AR-style rifle, I don't know exactly what it was. Okay, so, like I said, we've been sitting there, very quiet, very still, for probably 10 minutes. And I'm ready to go, so I just jumped up real quick. And I'm about to say, all right, let's go. And, right when I jump up, behind my buddy that was facing us, behind him, like I said, it's real thick. We can get into places that you normally couldn't. It's just thick green wall behind him. And I jumped up to say, let's go. And then, right when I stood up, this wall of trees behind him just starts shaking. And, shaking, going crazy. So, this wall of foliage just starts shaking, going crazy. So my buddy who had his back to it, he jumps up, he jumps up, and he runs in between us, like to get away from this, whatever this is that's going on. And me and my other buddy look at each other, and then we stand up, and we take off into this green stuff. Now, it's thick. We can't go, 10 foot maybe into it before you start hitting vines and stuff, and you just can't only go so far.
So you're running towards what was shaking the tree, or away from it? Were you running towards what was shaking the tree or away from what was shaking the tree?
We were running towards it.
Okay.
We went into this guns first, basically, looking for what this was. As crazy as it was, I was totally expecting to see a cow entangled in barbed wire, like trying to get out of it. You know what I mean? Like going crazy trying to get out of it.
Right, just stuck in, got its head stuck or something.
Like the barbed wire was wrapped around its leg or whatever, and the barbed wire was wrapped in the tree.
Okay.
That's what I was expecting to see. So we pretty much, like I said, guns first. We're into this sick stuff as far as we can go. And what I see is pretty much from the neck back to the tail. I didn't see the head. It was on all fours. I see this completely just jet black four-legged animal walking very slowly from my left to my right. And so I didn't see the head, but I saw the neck back to the tail. I pulled up my gun and I'm aiming at it, and I look and I said, "Oh, it's a coyote." And while I'm aiming, I'm thinking this, and I set the gun down, and I'm like, "No, that's not a coyote." And I'm looking at it. I said, "Is it a bear?" And I was like, "No, it can't be a bear." So I picked my gun up and I aim at it again. I was like, "What the heck is this thing? Is it a wolf?" No, it can't be. We don't have wolves in Oklahoma. And I went through whatever type of animal I could think of.
Now, on all fours, what do you say? What do you think its height would be from shoulder to paw on ground?
From shoulder to paw, I would put it at, I'm 5'10", I would put it at about my sternum. Okay. On its back.
So about 3.5 feet, just big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. I was not far away from it at all.
Did you get a weight, like an estimated weight of it? Like what you saw of, can you give us a description of the body, what you saw of the body?
Yeah. Okay, so as far as the weight goes, I would put it around 250, maybe 300. It wasn't real bulky or real big, but it definitely was not small. I mean, I'll say that for sure. And completely jet black. Now this is the weird part, okay? So its body had like the hard curves of a canine, right?
Right.
But the fur was real sleek and real shiny, like a cat. And I thought about this a few times, and I thought, well, it's a Dogman. But listen to all these descriptions. It looked like the perfect combination of a canine and a feline. That's what it looked like as far as its body structure and its fur.
Okay.
It looked like somebody mashed up a dog and a cat and made some kind of weird animal. And now it's out here in this field with me. So I am aiming at this thing, and I never pulled the trigger because I could not identify it. I had no idea what it was. Had I been able to identify it as, like, oh, I know what that animal is, and then I would have shot at it. But I could not identify the animal, so I did not take the shot at it. It walked, and it was a walk. It was not running. It was not trotting. It was in no hurry whatsoever. I mean, I had a good 8 to 10 seconds to look at this thing and aim at it and decide if I was going to shoot. Which, if you've ever been hunting, or if you're a hunter, 8 to 10 seconds is an eternity to decide to pull the trigger.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this thing. I have no idea what I'm looking at. I've lived out here my entire life.
Was there a tail? Could you see
Yeah.
a tail? You could see a tail?
Yes, absolutely had a tail. In between bushy and not bushy. I don't know. It was like in the middle, like average bushiness. I don't know.
Okay.
And it wasn't real long, but it was definitely a tail. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There was like a very clear tail.
Okay.
On the fish. So it walks, like I was saying, from my left. When I saw it, it was directly in front of me. So it was walking directly in front of me to the right. And it got out of my view. And it went behind some thick stuff. And it came in view of my buddy. Now, my buddy didn't see the head either. By the time he got a visual on it, it had already turned away from him. And he said it started to trot a little bit, and then he said it just took off. And he said it was the fastest thing he's ever seen in his life. We have deer out here, and deer are incredibly fast. This thing was, he said it would have, it had to have been twice the speed of a deer. He said its pew was just out of his sight in no time. And we get back, or me and my buddy that was looking at, now he didn't take a shot either. And me and him, we get back to my other friend that ran away, and he looked at us, and he said, what in the world was that? I was like, I don't know. And I looked at my other friend, and he was like, I don't know either. And I was like, man, let's just get out of here. Let's get back to the house. Let's just, it's hot, tired. We just saw something weird. Let's go back to the house. So we ended up going back home. That's it on that encounter. Now there's the things that stick out to me that make me say cryptid. And Dogman, I guess, is one, the color is jet black. Two, the size. It was way too big for anything around here, or anywhere close around here. And the biggest thing was shaking the tree.
Right.
And I thought about that. I thought, okay, if it was a giant, like, cougar or puma, a Black Panther or whatever they are.
Yep.
If it was one of those, and let's say it was up in the tree, a big cat like that jumps out of a tree, it's not going to make a ruckus like that.
They're also not 3 feet at the shoulder either.
Yeah. And whatever shook this tree, I've come to the undeniable conclusion that whatever shook this tree would have to have had a way to grab it.
Right.
Shake it. And it was on all fours the whole time. I didn't see it get on 2 legs. I didn't, nothing like that. I didn't see the head. Now, I wish I could have seen the head, because I could tell you for sure, well, maybe, I think I could, that, it was ... But the thing that makes me say Dogman is because it was jet black, and it looked like a canine, but it also kind of looked like a feline, too. And that just may be because I just don't know what a Dogman looks like. I don't know, but... On
all fours. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are different canine cryptids, out there. People have spoken about jet black, like the black shuck and the Cadejo, which is the Cadejo is out by you, Texas, New Mexico, which is huge jet black dog, which in my own belief, I think is a Dogman, to be honest. I think it's just another name, like, the Gugwe is another name for Bigfoot, in my belief. So I think, I definitely I'm completely understanding where you're saying. Now the tail, when you said, it wasn't bushy, how long would you say the tail was?
Oh, I would say, now we're over 20 years ago. I'd say, going off that memory, I'd put it around 2 foot.
2 foot, yeah. And I believe, because, a lot of people that hear stories like this, they're going to automatically think, Black Panther, like you were saying. But the panther is not that high up in the, off the ground with its shoulder. I mean, they're big, but they're not huge.
Yeah, this thing.
Yeah, and a tail for a canine or a feline of that, nature is a lot longer. Right? They're 3.5 feet, I believe. They're a long tail because they use it to balance. They're about 150, 180 pounds, so they need a long tail to help them balance. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense
It wasn't that long. I know that. And the thing about it is the shaking that tree, that was weird. I thought about it for a long time. And I thought, man, what? Even if, like I was saying, even if it was a big cat in a tree and it jumped out, let's just say that's what it was, because that's the only thing I could think of. Even if it was 200 and something, it was not going to shake a tree that much. Not like this. I mean, this was a ruckus. Like, it was violent. I mean, it was, I would say a good 2 seconds of just wham, 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 wham. You know what I mean? I mean, this wall of foliage behind my buddy was just shaking. I mean, wham, 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 wham. I was like, what in the world?
Right, like something huge was behind there.
What'd you say?
Like something huge and, very powerful was shaking the whole, like, I mean, because you've worked, I've talked to you and, you said you worked construction and, so you're probably a strong guy. I'm guessing, like, if you were back there by yourself, you couldn't do that. You couldn't make what was...
No.
Okay.
No, there's no way I could shook it like that. Ain't no way.
All right.
So there's no way, let's just say hypothetically, an animal was, like, leaning up on it and, with its front paws and pushing it. It still isn't going to do that. What I saw, that ain't going to happen.
Right.
Dude, I came to the conclusion that whatever did that had to have hands.
Okay.
It had to have an opposable thumb to shake a tree like that. And that was wild, man. And at the time, I didn't know I knew what a Sasquatch was, and I never really gave it 2 seconds of thought about whether or not it was real or not. But I didn't know what a Dogman was. I had no clue what a Dogman was. And man, I'm telling you, it was not a natural animal.
Right.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Just thinking that in that moment, it seemed like it was just something that happened and we needed to go. But now that I look back, I think, man, that was nuts. Like, I was within feet. 30 feet, that's pretty close to a freaking cryptid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep.
And I had a gun leveled on it, too. And that's another thing that you're not supposed to do. The cryptids is level guns on them unless you're in a fight. I mean, if you have to fight, then you got to fight. But it didn't do anything to us. It just gave us a good jolt,
Yep.
And
now your buddy that saw it, he what was his interpretation of everything?
Okay, so I hung out with that guy that saw it off and on for, I don't know, next couple of years. And then we kind of quit hanging out. And we'd see each other in town off and on over the years. And in 2017, time to talk for a minute. And I walked in, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I was like, "Hey, not much." He goes, "Man, how you doing? How you doing? Pretty good." Yeah. And then just right after that, he goes, "Man, did you ever find out what that was that we fought out there in your land that one time?" I said, "Man, look up a thing called Dogman. That's what I think it was. I think it was a Dogman." But it was weird because he asked me, like, I mean, I hadn't seen him in a long time, you know?
Right.
And he's just like, "What was that?"
Yeah, for that to be, you know, his next question, you know, that must have, whatever it was, had a definite, you know, traumatizing experience for both of you guys to stick in his head, your head, you're not even talking to him about it, and then boom, that's the next thing out of his mind, or mouth, excuse me. You know, so that's, it was definitely something. And like you said, a cow,
Go ahead.
you thought it was a cow. And cows are, you know, I've not been around, you know, cows down in Texas or Oklahoma. I know they get big down there, but we have big cows in upstate New York, some big dairy cows. And I know how strong they are because I've seen them lean against fence posts, you know, and just push and knock them over, you know. So whatever that was just, you know, huge to, you know, for you to automatically think, hey, that's a cow maybe. There was a lot of commotion.
Right, exactly. It was so much that I was expecting to see, like I said, I was expecting to see a heifer or a cow or whatever entangled in barbed wire.
Right.
And I was fully expecting to have to get the cow out of it, which was going to be dangerous, and I didn't want to. But that's not what I saw. That is not what I saw.
Right.
It was something else. And it definitely stood out to him because that's what got me thinking about it. Because 2017, that's about the time I started getting into cryptids. Like, really, I dabbled with it here and there. And yeah, so the back door was open. And a thunderstorm had come through, and that field behind my house was flooded, and it was flowing pretty good. I mean, you can hear it from my back door. You can hear the water cutting through the field. So I step up, I get up, and I go outside, and I went out the back door. I was going out to take a leak because that's we're country and we go out the back door sometimes because it's closer. So I step out the back door and right when I do, I hear I hear a crack, like it's like almost a rifle sound. Almost the crack of a rifle, but not quite. And I could tell that it was a branch being broken. And like I said, I mean, it was almost as loud as a gunshot. That's how quick and loud it was. It was just, and I knew exactly what it was. I knew it was a branch breaking. And I was like, whoa, that was weird. And then, just seconds after that branch broke, straight to my left, which would have been my east, on that same creek, I heard a noise. I heard it kind of sounded like, you know, when a woodpecker pecks on a hollow log?
Yep.
It's got that noise to it. It almost sounded like that, but it was more organic, if that makes sense. It was more, how did I describe it? It was more musical. It was almost musical in a way. Like, I could tell an animal made the noise. I'll just make the noise. It kind of sounded like this. That's what it sounded like. I mean, I can mimic the noise.
Right.
That's exactly what Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
So almost like the Yeti call. Like, people have heard those calls, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
that was exactly, I mean, pretty much, you know, what people have heard is pretty similar to that. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. I've heard the Ohio yell and all that stuff, but I hadn't heard anything similar to what I was describing. But I mean, you saying that's cool, because I mean, and that was to my, like I said, to my left on the east, to my east on that same creek, but that was about 100 yards away. The tree branch breaking, I would put that at about 300 yards away on the same creek. The creek is overflowing. I mean, like I said, you can hear the water.
So it was coming towards you, you think? Like you said, the branch was about 300 yards, and the noise you heard was about 100 yards, so it was actually, like, coming towards the area, or was it was moving?
Well, what I think it was, okay, so this field, let me tell you this field back there always has deer on it. I mean, I can literally go any time of the day and look out there, and there's deer. I can go out there at night and shine my flashlight, and there's deer bedded down. They are always in this field. And and there's the deer population where I'm at is it has exploded. It's tremendous. I mean, it would be a cryptid paradise, and if they thinned them out a little bit, it wouldn't be that bad, because they're actually pretty dangerous when you're driving.
Yeah.
I mean, out here in the country and you're driving, you gotta go slow, or I mean, a deer will run out in front of you. You drive 3 miles, 4 miles out here, a deer, you're gonna see a deer run out in front of you. But, okay, so I said that storm had passed, and what I think, okay, so I think what it was when I stepped out onto the porch and I heard that break, the tree break, and then I heard that other noise, that was like a 2-second interval, like a 2, maybe 3-second interval.
Okay.
So, yeah, so what I think it was a tree break to alert the other one, and I think the other one sounded off back to it. Okay. And I think it was, I mean, from what I know, what I've heard, and what I understand, Sasquatch does tree breaks. I think Dogman sometimes do tree breaks. I don't know for sure, but I think I've heard that a few times. But that's why I'm saying Sasquatch.
Right.
But
well, the noise too. I mean, when you heard the noise, did you like? Because a lot of people say when they hear a Sasquatch, regardless if it was the roar or any kind of like hoot, because they hoot a lot, you know, they hoot.
Right.
And could you feel the hoot? Was there like kind of like a I don't know how they explain it. It's like some people have explained it like they feel like a energy, you know, like a magnetic kind of, not magnetic, but just like an energy, like it hits them kind of. Was there anything like that when you felt, when you heard that?
Well, when I heard the return, we'll call it the tree break was the alert, and the return call was what came after.
Okay.
When I heard that return call, I could tell that it was coming from an animal. That I could tell. It wasn't like real powerful, and it wasn't real loud, but I mean, I could clearly hear it. I mean, like I said, the creek was boiled over, and it was flowing through the field. And so I could hear that real well. And it was loud enough that I heard it just fine over the creek from 100 yards away. It was at least 100 yards away.
And you've grown up in Oklahoma your whole life, and that's nothing you've ever heard out there, ever.
Right. No. like I said about the woodpecker, you know, how it sounds when it pecks on a hollow log. So I walked back in, and I sat down, and I told my wife, I said, I heard something weird just now. She said, what was it? I said, I heard it sounded like almost a gunshot. And then I thought, just right after that, it sounded like a woodpecker just blasting on a hollow log. And she looks at me, she goes, Jared, it's 11:30 at night, right after a thunderstorm. Woodpeckers are not going to be out right now. It's still raining. I was like, oh, right. So there's no way it could have been a woodpecker. And I knew, you know, like deep in my mind, I knew it wasn't a woodpecker. I knew it wasn't. Because, like I said, I could tell there was something weird about it. Like it came from an animal, like, or something. And then I thought, well, okay, maybe there was some people back there. But, like I said, that creek was overflowing. If, like, a normal person or anybody really was standing where I heard the noises, and I know exactly where they are, where these noises came from, because I could walk straight out to them. I know exactly where they were at. Right, they were right by the creek, and it as deep as it was at that time, it would have been maybe chest high water where I heard the noise come from, and it's flowing. So a person would not be able to stand in this. You would get washed away. It'd probably drown you. It'd probably kill you.
Right.
If a person was out there. There's no way a human was standing out there making noises. And why would a human do that anyway?
Yeah,
you know,
or any other animal, like a deer. I mean, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Because a deer, they'd get washed away too. You know, I mean.
Oh, heck yeah.
So,
well, what I think they were doing was where that tree break came from, and this tree break was loud. I mean, like I said, it was 300, 350 yards behind my house, and I heard it perfectly. It was pop, just loud. I was like, that was the tree branch breaking. I mean, I knew what that was. And like I said, it's almost as loud as a gunshot. Almost. It wasn't, though. It was close. I was like, dang, that was close to a gunshot, but that wasn't a gunshot. That was a tree branch breaking. And right after just that noise, and I was like, what the heck? What the heck's going on out here?
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't see anything, but I heard that, and what I think they were doing is I think they were following the storm. And when I said, like I said, there's always deer in that creek or in that field, I think they were following the storm, and I think they were getting into that field. I think they were waiting for deer to try to maybe cross it, or they perhaps got stranded. They got stuck out there in the flood somewhere.
Okay.
And I think they were hunting deer right out of that field.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you. I was going to say, do you have any like fruit trees or any sort of, you know, vegetation for them to eat? But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, like that'd be a ample time to hunt. You know, just to set. You know, the deer are already nervous enough and paying attention to the storm. You know, what they're not gonna, and everyone knows that Sasquatch is, as big as they are, they're very stealthy and quiet, you know, so. Yeah. But that was good vocalization, you know, I mean, to hear, you know, and now I get what you're saying with the woodpecker, you know, the woodpecker sound, but having it organic, you know, it's a vocalization, like, almost, it's too hard to explain. Our brains don't fathom something like that, you know.
Right. It's just so. I mean, we were told our whole lives that no, it's garbage. Somebody's just trying to make a buck. But when you encounter something for real, it's like, wait a minute, no, it's not. And the tree break or the branch breaking, I know I know that's what it was. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that was a tree branch breaking. And it wasn't a tree being uprooted, you know what I mean, from the flood.
Right.
From the field flooded, because that's like a slow, like you can hear it, you know, you can hear the process of the tree falling.
Yep, the mud ripping, the roots snapping, it takes a little bit more.
Yeah.
It takes longer than a tree branch breaking.
Right, and I've heard that before. That is not what this was. This was pop, just quick, bam. And I was like, good Lord, what? I mean, I asked myself, what was that? But I knew exactly what it was. It was a tree branch breaking. And there's nothing else that could have, there's nothing out here that could break a tree branch like that. There's no human. I mean, this tree branch, the way it sounded when it broke, it had to have been every bit of 6 inches, like, around.
Right.
Because, I mean, I've broke tree branches before out there and heard them snap, and, I can determine the relative size of the snap to how big the branch is, you know.
Right.
And this was a big branch, and they got popped into quick, just quick. And at this time, I was into cryptids, and I knew about tree breaks and tree knocks and the weird noises that they made. And then that return call, and I was like, something's up, something's going on out here. And I got back in the house. I shut the door. I was like, I'm shutting the door, man, because they could see me.
Yeah.
Where I was, because I had the back door open. From where I was sitting on the couch, I could look directly out to where I heard the tree break, the branch breaking.
Huh.
I could look straight out there and look at it. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll get out there. I'll take some pictures and I'll show you. I'll send them in an email to you, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's the perfect place for something to stand. It's like so thick, and then you get to the spot, it's like cleared out, and there's no underbrush or anything growing right there, and it would be the perfect
stomping ground. Yeah, perfect stomping ground, especially for a Sasquatch of. You know.
I'm wondering if, because I think that this is just from my opinion, from what I've heard. I know there's hot spots, but I think there's also, they move around a lot, you know?
Yep.
Because I don't, this is the only two things that's happened out here in my 42 years. Well, okay, I haven't been running around in the woods since I was 1 year old, but in we'll say my 32 years of running around out here, unless they have been out here and they've seen me.
Well, they're chance encounters. Not everybody has an encounter, and when you do, have an encounter, you could be in the woods and one of these things could be watching you, and you would never even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just a chance encounter. There's probably many times that, even people who don't believe had been in the woods hiking and been watched by a Sasquatch Dogman. It's something that, happens more often than we know, and we can't, just because we don't visualize it doesn't mean it's not happening to us at that time, So is there any spots like caves or like any place for a Sasquatch to, shelter?
We don't have caves out here where I'm at. There's no caves. There's spots out here where the creeks have wore down the land enough where there's the embankments are like 12, 18 foot high. But, okay, I'll tell you this. Where I saw that Dogman, we'll call it a Dogman.
Yeah.
Back in 99, I went back there earlier this year. I actually took my kids back there. They know about cryptids. I told my kids about cryptids. They know what they are. Because, I mean, and I told my wife, I was kind of hesitant because it's kind of creepy, it's way scary. But I had to tell them because my kids play in the field, my wife out there looking at them, picking berries and keeping an eye on the kids. So I had to tell her, I was like, look, there's something you need to know about. And I never told her before. I mean, we'd been married like 15 years. No, hold on. At that point, we'd been married like 13 years, 12 or 13 years, and I'd never even once mentioned it to her. But we moved out there on the other side of the property, and I told her about it. I was like, there's something you need to know. I saw this thing back in 1999, and I don't know what it was. And it kind of freaked her out for a little while,
Right.
A couple of weeks there, she was kind of edgy there. I was like, I'm sorry to do that to you, but you need to know because, I mean, our kids are running around here. And I told my kids, too. So my kids wanted to go out there and go back to the area where I saw the Dogman. Well, I was like, all right, we'll go. It's our property. It's our land. I'm not scared to go out there. I'm not scared to take my kids out there. I'm not. This thing ain't gonna stop me. I'm too country to not take my kids. My kids say, grab a rifle, let's go hunting. I'm like, let's go.
Right.
You bet. So we went out there. I mean, we were I was armed, well armed, and the kids are being kids, running around the creek and stuff, having fun. Now there's a spot out there where I saw the Dogman. The creek splits in two. There's the spot there, and I'll go back out there and take pictures of that for you too. You can see that. And there's a spot right after the creek splits in two. It cuts around back to the east. Well, like I was saying, there's a 12, 14-foot embankment around this creek. Well, there's spots where trees, the dirt has washed away, and the tree roots they make like a canopy right next to the creek.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I mean, we had to have quite a bit of rain for the creeks to swell up, but usually there's just a trickle, and at most knee high in places. And it's usually a trickle. It's not usually full. And there's places, like I was saying, where the sand had been washed away and it makes that canopy. Well, we were out there not too long ago, and this canopy of roots, the dirt went so far back under there that I shined a flashlight in there, and I have a 750 lumen flashlight, and I shined it in there, and I could not see the back end of it.
That's a bright light too. I mean, that's wow. So
yeah.
there are places.
Went back and then it turned.
Yeah,
it was weird. I was like, that's weird.
So there are places for them to hide. Maybe that was, I mean, like you said, it's your property. But where you said it turned, I mean, maybe it's living in there. Maybe that's like a den, a dugout den. The nature helped, and it helped it too.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just a rest stop, a place they can just stop, and hang out for a little bit. Yeah, because
Mississippi, there was a small den out there, and Luke, he is adamant about that area being a travel ground, you know what I mean? Like a little rest stop for him to. So, I mean, maybe that's what you've got going on right there, too. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting the feeling exactly what you're saying. I'm kind of getting the feeling that, and I think that this is a passing ground for them. Like I said, I think it migrates through here, or maybe.
Right.
If I already said this, it might be part of their hunting ground, whether it's a Dogman or Sasquatch, or
right.
one of the two.
Well, Luke, that guy Luke, he's got a den, and they pass through there. He thinks it's a passing ground area. So yeah, I mean, very well could be, because they need shelter, and that sounds like the most most opportune place for them to hide or seek shelter. I mean, I don't think they're really hiding from anything. I think they're seeking shelter from the heat or, the rain, like you said.
Just like we would go into an AC or a heater in the winter.
Yeah.
They probably got their own little spaces they can get into and get away from the weather. I mean, surely they can feel the heat and the cold, and it gets to them just like it does any other animal.
Right.
So they gotta get out of it at some point.
Now, you said you had a friend that had a sighting, something other than a Dogman or a Sasquatch. You want to share a little bit about that and what he went through?
Yeah. So this is kind of what got me started in it. Started looking into it. So this would have been 2015. We're sitting there eating dinner, and it's the same time of year, spring, summer, which keeps popping up. That's kind of weird. But spring, summer. Now he was on Beaver Creek fishing, and he was in a car, and it started raining. It actually had been raining, and he stopped by my house on the way back to his house, and he had left a shotgun there. This shotgun had extreme sentimental value to him. It came from his dad. His dad made the stock. His dad put it all together, and he loved that shotgun. It meant a bunch to him. He somehow he forgot about it. He just stood up and walked away from his little fishing spot and completely forgot about that shotgun. He stops at my house, and he says, "Hey, I forgot my gun out there. It's starting to rain. I can't drive the car, but you got your truck, man. Can you take your truck?" I turned and looked at my wife, well, and she's like, "Yeah, go get it." And I was like, "All right, let's go." So we take the 7 mile, I think it's 7, probably about more like 10 miles, drive out there. So on the way, we got plenty of time to talk. On the way, we're talking about old times. We're talking about whatever, fishing. We used to go fishing and camping and hunting and all kinds of stuff. And just out of nowhere, again, he another one of those out of nowhere comments. He just stops. He goes, "There's werewolves in Oklahoma." I was like, "What?" What? And he goes, and he said, "Yeah, and they say the highest concentration of them are in Oklahoma." And then he just starts talking about the old days when we used to go hunting, fishing, camping, and hanging out. And we get there, we drive, we go through some deep stuff, and we get there. We go to the creek, get back up in there, and his shotgun was literally like 1 inch from being swept away from the creek. The creek's rising because it's raining. It's starting to flood. And that's why he needed me in my truck. And I think it caused some trauma because he didn't stick around too much longer after that.
So did he see something that night, or?
I think that he was fishing. Because he said something about werewolf. He said werewolf. What he told me. And that's all he said. What he said, what I said that he said about this werewolves in Oklahoma.
Right.
And the hot trash. Okay, that's the only thing he said to me about werewolves.
And then shortly after he had, like you said to me, he had committed suicide shortly after?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, he already had problems in his life. He had a drug issue. His marriage was on the rocks. He had a good job. He made plenty of money. That wasn't the issue. They weren't hurting for anything.
Right.
But he had that, and he had those other issues going on. And I think that this is what I think. I think he was sitting there fishing. I think it's possible that a werewolf or a Dogman walked up to him. And I think what he did was he had the fishing pole in his hand. He had the shotgun sitting, like, leaned up on the creek, on the tree branch or whatever, or tree or whatever. I can't remember. I think he was fishing. I think a Dogman come up on him, or a werewolf. I think he just turned and ran. I think he booked it and left the gun there.
And wanted you to come with it, kind of, because, you did say it was raining, and that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And that's a good theory, because, I've had another subscriber who, he had a wife. They both saw and had an encounter together. Shortly after, they got divorced, and she ended up with a drug issue and then committed suicide. But it makes sense what you're saying, because maybe he wanted you to come, not only because he felt like he was going to get stuck, but as backup. You know what I mean? He was already scared, because, he was in the car. You know what I mean? He had already driven out of there. So he could, you know what I'm saying? So maybe he wanted someone just in case he saw it again. That's probably a spot on theory that you got right there, because nobody just comes out of the blue and says, hey, there's werewolves, and not just shooting, joking about it. There's a definite seriousness to something like that, and that's insane. And I'm very sorry that you lost a friend. He was a good friend. I grew up with him, and I think, like I said, he already had those previous problems, but I think that he saw a creature, and I think it pushed him over the edge. I think that was more than he could handle with what was already going on. Yep.
And then he saw something. I think that's all he could handle. That was it, and he did that. And what was also weird is, why would you leave? This shotgun had sentimental value to it. Yeah. Like I was saying, it meant a lot to him. I remember when we were kids when he got it. So, I remember that's how big a deal it was to him. And he just up and leaves it there. That's weird, you know. I think he ran away from that spot that he was at. And just like you're saying, he knows I got a gun, and he knows I ain't scared to go back out there. Werewolves or not, I didn't believe him. So, and after he passed, I got to thinking about that. I was like, man, that's a weird statement. And that's when I started looking into werewolves in Oklahoma. And that's what led me to all the cryptid YouTube channels. And that's what got me thinking about my encounter in '99.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all kind of just plays out. There was.
What year was this? What year was your friend's? What year did that happen?
Okay, that was in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember his funeral very clearly. Yeah, that would have been in 2015.
Wow.
When he came to me. It was weird too. It's like, what? Because he just come out of nowhere with this werewolf statement, like you had mentioned. But like I said, he had a drug problem. So at the time, I'm thinking, okay, buddy, what?
Right.
You know what did you sniff, or what did you do before you got here?
Yeah.
What were you doing out here on this creek while you were fishing?
But so, after time, time for you to reflect back on it, puzzle pieces start fitting together, and that really makes it fit. That's really crazy and tragic. And wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't too long after his funeral. I was sitting there in front of the computer, and I was just thinking, okay, what can I? I was just wanting to surf, just look around, just goof off on the internet, and I remembered him saying werewolves in Oklahoma, and I was like, huh. So I typed in werewolves in Oklahoma, and I got, like I said, I got all the YouTube channels came up, all the cryptid stuff came up.
Yep.
And then from there, I started thinking back about what happened in '99. I was like, well, wait a minute. Because the descriptions, it was like jet black, 250, 300 pounds, looked like a giant wolf. I was like, well, wait a minute. They're describing exactly what I saw in 1999. And then I saw my buddy a couple of years later, and he's like, hey, what was that we saw out there? And everything's starting to click. I'm like, wait a minute. There's something going on out here.
Yeah.
There's something weird going on out here.
I've had a lot of subscribers from Oklahoma, and they swear to God that there is stuff going on out there, and there's stuff going on all over the country, and this is crazy. Well,
yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
they're everywhere, and this deal with William.
Is there anything else that you want to say to anybody? Because you go out in the woods on a daily basis. You live right out. Last night I talked to you for a little bit. I tried to get this recording up, and you were in the field, but you're not afraid of going outside, and people shouldn't be afraid to go outside because, like I said, it's a chance encounter. And do you agree with me on that? Let's not be afraid to go out hiking or go into the woods.
Heck, I take my kids out there.
Yeah.
I can't keep them away.
Right. So I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those pictures. And when you send them, when you email me them. My next upload, what I'll do, everyone, is when Jaron sends me them, I'll make an announcement, and that way you guys can email me to see those pictures, and I'll share them with you guys. So, Jaron, it was great talking to you tonight, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. And
yes, sir.
You can say goodbye to everybody on YouTube, buddy.
All right, goodbye, and I appreciate it, Jeff. I appreciate you taking the time and listening to my stories and stuff, and I think that's pretty cool, and I'm glad it's getting out there. They're in Oklahoma. They're everywhere. If you're in Oklahoma, just know they're out here. So don't be scared. Go out and have fun. And take a weapon. Always take a weapon with you.